What's good, people? About that time to regularly relate, reverse rant, no hate. So, we're talking about fighters fighting past their primes. And now, because of recent events, I'm not so much talking about just a person that's not in their prime anymore, they're not as sharp. We're talking about advanced ages, okay? Because I think people are greedy, people are thoughtless, and they're heartless, but they don't see themselves as that way. Okay, let me give you an example of something. Okay, a guy like what's his name? The one they call Kid Chocolate. Years ago, I said this guy's washed up. Nah, man, he just lost that one. He's washed up, man. I mean, even watching him train, years went by before he even finally got back in the ring. And when he came back, he looked slow. He looked like he had no reflexes. He had heavy feet. His timing was off. You don't just come back after 3, 4, 5 years or however long it was, and all of a sudden you get your mojo back like that, man. You work the kinks out in training, but there had to be something in training that his camp had to see, that they had to realize, like, nah, Kid Chocolate is not what he used to be. But they must have thought he could beat the guy that he fought, and he couldn't. So he's still in his 30s though, but he's past his prime. Okay, I think Danny Jacobs upset him, right? I think it was Danny Jacobs that beat him. But what I'm talking about now is because you got guys like Mike Tyson. Now, honestly, before Mike Tyson, before we heard this announcement about him coming back, Evander Holyfield, we had already heard, like I think a month before, 2 months maybe, that Evander was coming back at 57. And personally, I just felt like, okay, Evander, what are you trying to do, man? And I thought about this interview he had when he was talking about me. I'm marking on 49, and people will look, hey, look at what this guy's doing. So maybe the next guy will come along, he'll take it to 59. And I remember sitting there cracking up because I just pictured a 59-year-old fighter, and then I just started laughing like, okay, Evander. And I guess Evander wants to be that guy. Um, Now, is he talking about coming back full time? And I mean, when I say full time, I mean full training camps to try to go in there and fight 10 to 12 round fights, or is he going to take the exhibition route like Mike Tyson? Okay. Either way, look, for all of you out there that's young enough to have, if your fathers are in their 50s like that or something, I guarantee you, if you had a 57, 53-year-old father talking about coming back to fighting, you'd be like, Pop, no. Come on, no, you have nothing to prove. You're 53. No, Pop, you're 57. I guarantee you that's how you'd feel. But you guys, for some reason, think that, and more particularly Mike Tyson, they're talking about more than any of the other guys coming back. But you guys are sitting here talking about these guys like they're superhuman. Like they have superpowers, man. Like if we saw Nigel Benn. I saw an interview with him, and Nigel Benn was talking about how the doctor said, like, you're in like the shape of a 21-year-old man, or whatever, a 20-year-old. And he thought, you know what? Well, in that case, he decides he wants to come back, and in doing so, I think he injured himself, shoulder injury, something happened, and that injury probably was for the better, because whatever it was made him decide, you know what? Let me leave boxing alone. We saw what happened to Adonis Stevenson. We saw what happened to Zab Judah, and we still are so greedy. Okay, it's the same thing. If you watch professional wrestling, we know that it's staged, it's fixed fighting, but we know that these people really feel pain in it, they really get injured. They get messed up for life, man. These guys are walking around all kind of hip replacements, 9, 10, 12 surgeries, and you still have people talking about Sting versus Undertaker. Sting is like 60 goddamn years old. What more do you want from him, man? Like what more do you want from Undertaker? Like, I mean, like, we're talking about people at advanced ages. Hey, you still want to work out, jog, run, hit the bag, do all this stuff, do some lights, but hey, that's beautiful. Because now this is about your fitness. This is not about you trying to prove dominance in the ring against these younger guys. No, you have the heart to do it. No matter how, yeah, you. But like, what more do you want? And the weird thing about it is, we watched Sting have a match against Seth Rollins where he got a stinger, like he got, think he got like buckle power bombed and said he had a tingle, he couldn't feel anything, and things go wrong. The man is like 60 goddamn years old. What more do you want them to do? So even if Mike Tyson comes back in this exhibition and looks good, don't gas this man up to make him think, Mike, you could beat Anthony Joshua. Mike, you could beat Deontay Wilder. This guy goes in here and wind up getting seriously hurt. I can see every channel and all you fans jumping, oh man, this Mike is the greatest. Mike, you're the GOAT. Mike, we love you. Mike, oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh, this is so, my prayers go out to you and your family, Mike. Mike. That's the first thing you guys are doing. But you're the one sitting here greedy more. No, you want to see Mike fight, watch his highlights. You know, nobody, we don't want to see these guys come back and get hurt, man. We don't want to see these guys come back here trying to prove what. You know, I saw an interview. I remember Mike said that he feels empty without boxing. And I also heard him, I think he had Mike Rashid. Mike Rashid was on the show, and he's talking about boxing is a lonely life. Yeah, it is, because you're isolated from your families and all distractions, and it's just you and your training team or what you're doing. It is lonely, man. If you live according to the regulations of what it takes for you to really be the fighter that you want to be, yeah. And at 53, you think that he's ready to do that all over again? No, Mike is prepping, from what we understand, for a 4 round. And not even, I haven't even heard about him coming back to do multiple. Just for what I'm understanding, 1 round, one fight, a 4 round exhibition. But all you guys that are sitting up here, you should be ashamed of yourselves, man. All of you that's sitting there, oh, Mike is going to come back. Oh, Deontay's shaking in his boots now. Oh, he'll kill Tyson. Stop. You guys are imagining Mike Tyson in his prime. That's what you're imagining. You're not imagining the Mike Tyson that got beat by Danny Williams and the other meatball that destroyed him. You guys are sitting there acting like that never happened. You guys are acting like somehow Mike found the fountain of youth and he's all of a sudden rejuvenated. This is a different Mike Tyson. How is it a different Mike Tyson? Because you saw him hit some goddamn mitts. This is a different Mike Tyson. His focus, I don't care what that trainer said. I don't give a shit. I can care less if Mike goes in training and knock out 18 fucking sparring partners in a row. I do not care. We have not seen anything. What have we seen to make us say this is a different Mike Tyson? You damn right he's different. He's 15 years older now. You damn right he's different the last time we saw him. You damn right he's different. So how do we sit here and assess that he's focused, he's ready, this is a rejuvenated Mike? The man is talking about a 4 round exhibition, and all of a sudden we're sitting up here talking about him fighting Deontay Wilder, him beating Tyson Fury, him beating Anthony Joshua, him beating Daniel Dubois and all these guys. What, I mean, like, at what point do you guys not realize that, listen, man, there's a difference. There's a difference. You see Big Daddy Kane, right? As a rapper, he comes and still does his, old songs. He does some of the newer stuff. What you notice Kane ain't doing no more. You don't see Scoob and Scrap up there, right? You don't see him jumping up on that. I used to jump up on Scoob or Scrap leg and do that kick over and go into that split. He's 51 now, 50. Yeah, you don't see him doing that anymore, right? But he still gets up there and do his little side to side, right? Get his microphone, excuse me, take a few minutes to smell it, right? He does that, right? You don't see him doing all that shit he did when he was younger, right? Now imagine somebody going, come on, Kane, man. Yo, jump over the dude's head and come down into that split. No, because he got common sense to know, all right, you know what? The knees or whatever it is that he's feeling. I think I need to just take that out of my act right now. No, he got a younger cat that comes up there now that does some breakdancing. I forget what he called him, but yeah, that's what he does. He's not jumping up there trying to do the same things he was doing back when he was in his 20s, man. I mean, he did it for a long time because he just stopped doing it like maybe 3 years now. But yeah, he's not doing that anymore. And we're still expecting Mike Tyson to come in here with these little. No, man. Stop. Stop. If one of these guys get hurt, man, that's the problem when people get past their prime, they get to an advanced age. No matter how old they get, they keep thinking, I can still do it, I can still do it. And then they go in there and they find out the hard way that one fight too many. That's one you shouldn't have had. And we're sitting here talking about, oh, but Mike can, I mean, we're talking like, I mean, to say he's better than ever. If somebody, look, I got a kid that loves basketball. All of them do. And he needs to improve in order to make the team. Okay, he has to prove by fight. Have a lot to work on. Can my son call me and say, hey, Pop, look, I got a 20-second clip of me making jump shots. And that's going to, and I see this clip and he's just, and all of a sudden hey, you got to see my son. Yo, he is rejuvenated. He is by far a better ball player because of a 20-second clip. No, I'm not stupid. And I know that it takes a lot longer than that. And we're talking about somebody 53 years old who smokes a lot of weed. And now because, he's back at the gym and training again and look good hitting some mitts for a couple of seconds, we're sitting here acting like we saw Mike in a long sparring match and his wind was up. The movement was there. He had no problem. Remember when he spinal? Remember how that went down? His body's breaking down. This happened, that, right? And now at 53, all of a sudden, all injuries are healed. He just ready to jump back in the saddle and be Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson all over again. No. And when you're so ignorant that you take things that, like what I'm saying or anybody else saying the same things, like we're hating. Hating for what? No, jackasses, we're saying we don't want to see this guy come in and get hurt. We don't want to see Holyfield coming in and get hurt. We don't want to see these guys come back and get hurt. Period. So if they're going to keep it within their age group, cool. Cool. I remember when Roy Jones said Bernard Hopkins is inspirational because look at what he's doing. And that's one of the things that keep Roy in the ring because Bernard is doing it. And there was a difference, though. Bernard was able to adjust his style to where, no, it wasn't pretty, wasn't the most exciting thing to watch, but he was able to still fight the elite guys in his division and win titles. When Roy was getting beat by journeymen, okay, and when they fought each other, you could clearly, his time and his reflexes, Roy just still had speed and flair. But Roy was not the same, and we already knew that. And he lost a unanimous decision to Bernard Hopkins. You said Bernard Hopkins is a born fighter. Bernard is like 4 or 5 years older than Roy, and he still beat you. Okay? John Pascal. Okay, I remember him getting up. I think this was right. This was before the second fight with Hopkins. And John Pascal got up imitating how Bernard rushes in and throw these wild punches. And Bernard says something that made him look completely foolish. He said, "You mean to tell me a guy that fight like that beat you?" It didn't matter what Pascal said after that. What killed you with that right there? Yeah, a guy who runs in doing these punches, how you imitating, and he's wild and no technique. And he said, "A guy that fight like that beat you?" Yeah. So how bad does that make you look then? That's when a person is saying, you know what? I don't have a counter for that. I don't know how to stop it. So could you please don't do it to give me a better chance to win? And here's a guy that was young. And John Pascal, he's won some, he's lost some. And he's still in his 30s. So now how do you sit on your ass for 15 years? I don't care what you've been doing or not been doing. You're not going to jump back in there and be amongst the elite fighters. Not Mike Tyson, not nobody. So when that happens and when guys are fighting past their prime and we're sitting there like, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. But when we're sitting here, trying to set them up for suicide missions, you really think that Mike is going to go in there and beat Dillian White? You really think Mike is going to go in there? So if you guys think that Mike Tyson, this is real. Let's look at this realistically. If you think that a 38-year-old Mike Tyson was getting beat by journeymen, but you think that at 53 Mike could come back and beat all these guys, then you guys must think Danny Williams and all these other guys are as good or better than AJ, Fury, and all these other guys. Because Danny Williams and the other guys, they wasn't making any noise back in when they were. These guys did nothing in boxing that you remember other than they beat Mike Tyson. That's all you remember of these guys. You can't tell me one fucking fight Danny Williams had outside of Mike Tyson. Unless you go look it up right now and then, oh, he fought such and such. Right now, off the you cannot say one fight that he fought. Or that other guy that beat Mike. These guys are past their primes. They're at ages where they should be calling fights, just enjoying life, relaxing. It's hard to get out their system. We get it. When you start fighting is just something that stays with you. We get it. But there's also a point where you have to use your common sense and understand, even if you only lose to these guys because they're just younger, stronger, and just better than you are at this stage, that's a reason to keep your stupid ass out the ring. That's exactly what we're saying. Fighters can be stupid. That's why your trainers, when you see a fighter with the trainer all his life and then all of a sudden you don't see that trainer anymore, that trainer's like, look, man, I love you too much to stand there and watch you put yourself in these situations. You think Alton Murchison wanted to watch Roy lose to these journeymen? You think Alton Murchison wanted to be a part of watching Roy Jones go in there and struggle with guys that he would have knocked out in his prime? And all of a sudden, Roy goes in there and he just gets knocked out again. And it's like, damn. And what's so unfair about it is when Roy lose, you guys want to count the losses up. But when he wins, oh, that guy was a bum. Well, he lost to the same caliber fighter that he just beat. So you can't count one but not the other. But it's just, we didn't want to see that happen to any, come on, watching Roy go in there is flashy and everything, man. His skill, as talented as Roy was, and to watch him go in there and get beat by these guys, it was like, damn. So it just gets to the point where you start to put your safety aside. What do you have left to prove? Roy, his last hurrah, as far as even keeping him in here, was to win the cruiserweight title. I don't think he would have beat Marco Huck, and I don't think he would have beat Alexander Usyk. Okay, either one of those guys. And it's really a good thing that it didn't happen, because I think Roy would have really got hurt, man. And regardless, he lost to guys that wasn't exactly on that same level with them. So it goes to show you, and this is my point of like how you think you can just come back to a sport where Roy didn't leave. Roy was still active. Okay. So for somebody to be out the sport for all these years and come back and just get catapulted up into a title spot because of that name is wrong, first of all. Because now you're shitting on all these younger guys that's been here fighting their ass off trying to get there while you were, sitting out doing nothing. But at the same time, Roy was still active. He never actually retired. But these guys, at that point, these guys have been out the ring for years. I mean, even Oliver McCall, these guys are talking about coming back to do a Super 6 or a Super 8. I mean, for what it's worth, that makes more sense than these guys coming out here putting their livelihoods in jeopardy because they go in here. You think that these guys are invincible. You act as if they're invincible, and then you act like you don't remember the losses that they had. Holyfield ended his career in much better shape than Mike did. And Holyfield's last fight, it was a championship fight that he got robbed in against Valuev. And he held his own. He won that fight. And for anybody that says, oh, Valuev wasn't shit. Well, Valuev was a whole lot fucking better than fucking the meatballs that beat Mike Tyson. And Mike said something that was key. Mike said, I don't have the heart for this anymore. I'm doing this simply for the money, man. I'm broke. I don't have any money. And then he said, I'm going to retire. I'm not going to continue to disgrace the sport of boxing and continue. He's like, no disrespect, but to lose to fighters of this caliber. But at the same time, you guys want to forget that. And this is when he was 38 years old. And what have you seen? If hitting some mitts make you believe that a guy is able to come in there and do what he used to, I can show you somebody 67 that can hit mitts just as good as me, Mike Tyson or whoever, and that guy looks incredible, and he's 67. By no way, shape, or form is he thinking about jumping in the ring to make a return. So, you guys, but Mike's power, okay, I got crazy power. This guy I'm referring to has crazy power, and he's 67. Okay, and I'm younger than both of them. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, the point what I'm saying is that does not mean you're gonna go in there and fight these young guys and win. And why would you guys even sit here and cheer this on? Cheer on the exhibition, him and Holyfield, these guys getting it on, okay. But you want to cheer on these guys. You really honestly think that Mike is going to go in there and beat Wilder. And I mean, as limited as Wilder is and unskilled as he is, if he hits Mike clean, he catches Mike with that right hand, and that's the thing you guys are going, but it's a possibility. Yeah, because Wilder really, his skills suck, man. But let's be real, with his range and just being able to keep Mike at bay with that long range, I think Deontay Wilder knocks Mike Tyson out. Don't stop, man. This is not prime Mike Tyson we're talking about, okay? Stop it. He's 53 years old, man. He smokes a lot of weed. And because I saw a 23-second clip of him hitting Mitch, that does not impress me, man. I mean, hey, I feel good for him. Like, yo, yeah, he looks sharp. Yeah. But I'm talking about impressed, like, oh, he can come back. No, I don't care. I don't care what that trainer said. I don't care what that trainer can say. Mike Tyson hits like a 21-year-old. Oh, Mike can come in there and fight anybody. It's easy to say that. Guys say that about their fighters now, all the time. And then his fighter goes in there and gets destroyed. Then what? I mean, what wasn't Mikey Garcia supposed to destroy Errol Spence because Errol Spence is not such a solid boxer, and Mikey's better in every department. But yet when they got in there, what happened? Now Mikey, I heard him talking shit the other week about fighting Spence again, like as if like the first fight never happened. No, we saw what happened to you. Errol didn't get lucky. You're lucky Errol didn't turn up on your ass, if anything. At the end of the day, Errol turned up and outboxed you. But like you lucky Errol didn't turn up and just get you out of there. Because Errol just didn't want people to say, hey man, see, you just rely on power. But again, it's like I can care less what people say. You do what you have to do to win a fight. And we're talking again about prime guys now. So we're talking that. So imagine now we're sitting here having the same conversation about a 53-year-old, a 57-year-old, a bunch of 50-plus-year-old guys coming back with gray hairs on their chest and wrinkled faces and receding hairlines, jumping back in there, smelling like Geritol, thinking they're going to go in there and go 12 rounds, 10, 12. No. Stop that, man. Stop that. Mike has had back issues. One thing we know about back problems, they never really truly go away. We don't want to have to hear him again go, I think it's spinal again. It's spinal again. We don't want to have to see that again or hear that again, right? Advanced age, there's certain things. Ice Cube got the big three. Beautiful. Why? Because these guys that are no longer playing that we remember can come back and still have a platform to go and do their thing, man. That's beautiful. Do you think any of those guys are coming back to the NBA? Do you think any of them are going to go in there and be able to do what they used to do against these guys right now? Like, common sense. Why is it any different for boxing? It's not. What's worse about boxing is because you're taking physical punishment. Okay? And we don't want to hear because of a punch that landed or too many punches and the guy's in a coma and the guy's laid up. And when you get older, you heal a lot slower. I don't think you have to be that smart to understand that. You heal a lot slower. I'm just saying, man, like really, a lot of you should be ashamed of yourself. You're putting these guys in categories that they don't belong in. And like I said, this was your fathers or grandfathers or whatever. You wouldn't be sitting there talking about, yeah, my grandfather. You'd have some fear for their safety. Simple. So to say, man, in your prime, you would have beat them. Stop right there. They're not in their prime. That's the whole problem. They're at advanced ages trying to do a young man's sport, trying to fight in the sport. So if they're doing it against each other again, fine. But if not, no. So at the end of the day, man, that's all I want to say about that. And I will catch y'all on the next video.